Hi. So a man I know and love by the name of Andrew Satori made a video a while back ago talking about his own racism around black people and owning it and wanting to rid the world of systemic racism. And it was just a really beautiful video that I wish would catch fire across this nation, and that everybody would just step up and do videos like that, and all of us just step up, own it, and make changes in our lives around racism. So I'm doing my own video today, which probably won't be nearly as passionate or as powerful, but I'm just going to be my authentic self like he was. I'm going to address two things, however, and that is Native Americans and African Americans. I'm going to go first with Native Americans. I feel that Native Americans are really, really tragically overlooked in this country. And I want to own where I am privileged and where my own racism has come into play with that. And this is really off the cuff, so I'm a little nervous, and I'm trying to be authentic and just letting this come out. So this is not planned or scripted. And that's how Andrew did it, and that's how I'm doing it. So what I know is that, for one thing, our history books and how we're taught is not correct. We're taught, like, I've celebrated Thanksgiving, and we're taught about how the Pilgrims came and the Indians united, and it was just this happy big feast, and I've celebrated Thanksgiving for years thinking it was that way, and it wasn't that way. And we came over here and pretty much scorched the earth that they knew, and brought over diseases and that wiped them out. And pretty much, I'm sure not everybody, but a large amount of people had no mercy, used them for guidance on how to navigate and cultivate the land, and then tried to kill them off. People are brutal, is what I've found out in history, and approach things in evil ways to conquer and conquest. And that's a terrible thing about us that we have to own up to, that I own up to as part of my race. So when I was younger, I played cowboys and Indians, and I played the cowboy. And when I was in school, our mascots and stuff were, we had like Indian stuff, and I was a Boy Scout, and they had the stuff like powwows, and you'd go pow, and everybody would go wow, and nobody knew what those things meant. All that stuff was taken really lightly. Never really was around a Native American when I was younger, too. I was pretty isolated in that regard from Native Americans. And my first experience learning pretty much about any kind of truth around Native Americans was probably somewhat maybe in movies, like documentaries. Probably the most moving movie I would ever kind of even come close to getting any kind of idea around was Dances with Wolves, which really moved me deeply, but I know that's not any kind of truth, or I don't even know if Native Americans see that as anything good. And then I was part of the Mankind Project, which they got with the Lakota tribe to use, get sanctioned to use part of their ceremonies and sweat lodges and how to do it correctly. And I really liked that. And learning some of the Native American stuff really, really impacted me in a positive way. And then as a first year teacher this year, I've had Native American children in my class, and I've tried to include Native American stuff. And I needed to do better than I did. But I feel like we need to really reach out and extend positive energy to Native Americans, and not just be like kind of condescending, or just a pat on the back, or just wish them luck, but actually help out in causes, and realize that they are the first people of this land, and that we have essentially paved over their land and excluded them. And it's terrible and terrifying what has been done to them, and I feel terrible about it. Like it hurts me, and I want to apologize for being part of that. Like, I'm a part of it because of my continual living, and not doing anything but just going along as the world spins, as the world turns, and nothing's being done. So, you know, we talk about random acts of kindness. I think we should not be random in our acts of kindness, but specifically reach out to Native Americans and our charity, and including them. And I plan to do that. And I apologize to you if you're Native American, and I honor you. I really do. I mean, I have for years. I love your traditions and your sacred ceremonies, and what you consider sacred, and how you value the loss of human life and animal life, and how you see things all tied together, and you see energies and life, and value things in a way that a lot of traditions don't. And I grieve that so many of you and so much of you has been lost. It grieves me terribly, and I'm deeply sorry. It really hurts. I'm so sorry that I've been part of that. I'm so sorry. None of you deserve that. It's just terrible. And I want to do better. And you deserve better from all of us. It's ridiculous that the human race doesn't come together better for you. It's ridiculous. I don't understand it. I don't understand it except that power and greed tries to keep people in line. But even worse than power and greed is that people continue to follow in line and don't fight against it. For human life, for the value of human life. And I guess I'm part of that, but I'm going to try not to be. I'm going to continue to reach out more and more to not be part of that for you, Native Americans. Now, African Americans, I have more exposure to that when I was younger. I've never really, like when I was younger, I was never really particularly like racist about that. I mean, in one sense, in that I always befriended. I never saw a difference like when I was younger, like even special needs kids. Like not that I'm not tooting my own horn. I mean, I had my own faults, but that just was one particular thing that I wasn't, didn't have in me. Like I looked for people that, like, not that I particularly looked out, but like if I was on a playground and there were kids that were excluded, I was like, why are these kids excluded? Like, I'm going to play with them. That was my thing. It was just like, I just didn't understand that. So I did. And I could never really understand that. So there was never really a thing of like, oh, black people, like I'm not going to make friends with black people, that black kids or whatever. So that was never a thing for me. But where I do need to own is, of course, my own privilege as a white person. Every day I ride that privilege, right? When I drive in my car, I don't have to worry about the speed limit and jobs and all that. And I remember too that, you try not to be this way, but I know at a certain age, and I can't remember when this happened, but when I heard that, like we were all descended from apes, and that, people were saying, well, the black people were apes first, and then we became white, and, all that. So then I started looking at, like, geez, and people were saying that that's terrible. So then I was, like, trying to look at black people, like if there were ape-like features in them, and I felt bad about that because I really didn't want to believe that. But then I was looking, and I didn't want to look. And I felt bad for looking, but then I was looking even more because I wasn't supposed to look. But then I remember couple times I ran into some white people that really had those features, and I was like, wait a minute. So that kind of snapped me out of that. I know that there's been times where, like, because I live in Detroit, not too often, but there's been times where I've been in areas where, because I've done DoorDash and deliveries, where I've been kind of scared of the areas where I've been. But I don't know that's been because it was all black. It was all black areas, but it was really run down areas, like really bad areas too. So it was like the combination of that. But I do know that, like I've lived in towns like Livonia. I live in Allen Park right now with family, where it's really conservative. And in my profession as a teacher, I know this isn't the case all over, but in a majority of schools, most of the teachers are white, at least in the schools I've been in. I know there's schools where there's African American teachers, I'm not saying that, but I don't know that it's a lot of mix. I haven't experienced that a lot, where it's a mix of white and black. And I know that I have, that privilege, and that the cops that beat and kill black people are going to overlook me most of the time. And that establishments are going to overlook me and discriminate against black people, and that bothers me. It truly, truly bothers me. So again, I'm thinking with that random act of kindness, don't make it random. We need to specifically, well, I'm going to own this, okay? You don't have to do it. I'm just saying I'm going to do it. It's that they need to see a blessing from us, from those who have been privileged. They need to see kindness and compassion from us. They need our hearts for a change. They need something different than all this cruelty. We need to step up. We need to make a change. We need to be the change in the world. We need to stop talking about it. For God's sakes, we need to stop talking about it. This cycle of talking about it and it going away and it happening again. We need to do something. And waiting for legislation to do something is not the answer. We have to do something in our daily lives. And we can do that every day by the people we run across in our daily lives. Yes, push for legislation. Yes, be active in that with your congressmen and stuff like that. But also the people in your daily lives, too. So I apologize to my African American brothers and sisters and their children. I work in an urban school right now, and it's been my privilege to be able to teach a large population of African American children and Native American children, as well as Pakistani and all sorts. And making a positive impact in that way. So I'm trying to make a difference. I'm glad that I can do that in my work day. But I'm also committing to do that everywhere I go, and I'm doing that right now. I've been doing that for the last couple months to make even an extra step effort beyond the fact that I'm just naturally not somebody that rejects anybody because of their race. But also recognizing that I ride on privilege and that I need to go an extra mile. That I want to. I really do want to. So I do apologize. And I want to be part of the change. And I hope everyone out there does. And I hope somebody's inspired to create their own video like I was. God bless you all.